This company's never been more profitable.
You mean hugely profitable?
I like it.
DavePorter.com presents The Profitable Cleaner, a podcast on commercial cleaning sales and entrepreneurship. The one podcast that's not afraid to discuss real sales strategies with real cleaning professionals that produce real profits and real results.
All right, there we go.
Action.
Yep. All right. Welcome back, everybody, to The Profitable Cleaner. I got a legend here. That's what Ricky Funk and Ricky Regalado say, right? Mr. Omar Miller. Welcome to the podcast, man.
Angel, thank you for having me, man. Legend, man, that's a great title. I don't know if I could live up to that, but that's an awesome title, man.
Definitely a great man for sure. When it comes down to even like the core values, a lot of and like somebody that really wants to do some good in the industry. So for sure, committed to the industry, right? So I know Ricky and you just went to lunch recently, right?
Yeah, so Ricky wasn't here, but me and Dominic went to dinner. Dominic's my guy, so
Yeah.
Rick is my guy too. The whole Rosalato family is great. They're leading the path,
100%. Well, I'm excited to have you. That's when I think it was when I saw that dinner post. I was like, okay, if they're going out and they're meeting up in New York and stuff, there's no way we can't have Omar Miller here in the podcast. So, Omar, for those that don't know you, that are not blessed enough to know you yet, tell us a little bit about, yourself and Advantage Cleaning, man.
Sure. Well, first and foremost, I want to say, Angel, thank you for having me on The Profitable Cleaner. It wasn't always profitable, so it's good to be here.
You've earned the stripe. You've earned the stripe.
Thank you, man. Thank you. So a little bit about myself, I went to college. I went to college in New York, upstate New York. I studied business management and minored in marketing, right? Although I didn't stay in college, there was a huge real estate wave going on in New York City. And I had a couple of friends that started their own company. So I left school. And I decided to pound the pavement and learn the hard way, man. School of hard knocks for sales. So that led me into a 10-year real estate career, right? Where I was selling and showing residential and condos in Manhattan. So my start in the sales world was in real estate. And I went through I guess you would call, sorry, man, I lost the word. But we went through Angel, man, I'm lost for words. Sorry, bro.
No, you're good, man. No, you're good, man. Let me ask you a question here. Do you think that your real estate experience made a huge impact in how you sell now? Because selling real estate or residential
100%,
in
man.
Manhattan,
And what I was trying to say was recession. I don't know why.
there we
I
go.
lost
Boom.
it. Yeah,
It's all right.
but yeah, the real estate, I would say sales is what built my character to date, right? Because real estate New York City itself is a tough market in general, especially when you're trying to sell somebody something, and a person could want the apartment, but if you're trying to sell it to them, they won't want it anymore. It's a weird type of dynamic that you really got to understand and hone in on, because it's almost like learning not to sell, but be in tune with what the person wants exactly, and trying to be like almost like one. Instead of selling the product, you're just really digging deep on your client and seeing what they want. So you can because a lot of people don't know what they want. A lot of people don't know, and it's up to the professional to let them know what they want, right? And that's what I learned in real estate, how to really dig in and identify what people are looking for without them even knowing what they're looking for,
100%.
And after real estate, I got to go into this. So after real estate, the recession hit in '08. I got into door-to-door sales. So I'll let you speak, and then we can go into door-to-door sales.
No. Yeah, I feel like you just like cliffhang me there. Like, I went into door-to-door sales, but let's pause. I'm like, nope. I have the door-to-door sales. I've gone to door-to-door con. I love learning from door-to-door salespeople. I think one of the most underrated thing to do is people are like I'm in commercial cleaning. I'm gonna go learn from people that sell in commercial cleaning. Luckily, I love learning from everyone. So I'll go to software, go to SaaS, I'll go to door to door. These solar guys are just killers, right? Like even dealerships. I don't know if you've heard of Brandon Elliott. That guy runs a top ship there when it comes down to sales. But no, man. Tell us, you went from real estate, recession hit, door to door. What did you sell? Tell
So
me a little
I'll
bit about
I'll
that.
tell you, Angel, I sold I could sell anything, man. And I'm not tooting my own horn. It took a lot of no's for me to get to this point, right? In real
Mhm.
estate, I remember even in real estate, just to go back really quickly, my first 2 weeks, they told me maybe you should pick a different career. So
In two
some
weeks,
people
huh?
would walk away and be like, you know what, maybe I'm wasting my time. But for me, that ignites a flame, and it drove me to this place where I ended up being the number one agent in the office, right? For that year. Anyhow, going into door to door, same process. I heard so many no's. I had to develop some sort of system. You have a 20-second window, right? Before someone slams the door in your face, leave me alone. So in 20 seconds, you better say something worth their time. So I developed this really sharp pitch, and it almost became repetitive for me to get these sales in an amount of like, let's say a 2 hour span where people were spending their whole day trying to get that. So I succeeded in door to door as well. I ended up going to different markets that were failing to help relaunch them, and show
Yeah,
this, the
yeah.
team there, how to make the sale and how to do it repetitively every day, right? So we went over product knowledge and all that good stuff. But going out in the field and actually showing people how to communicate with clients, people buy from people they like and trust, right? So it's your job to show up and not only know what you're talking about, but also communicate to the client as if you are making a friend, you know?
100%.
And that's what I did.
100%.
And that led me into, it was a long journey in the cleaning, but the cleaning came because we were having an event in Chicago and in my door-to-door company, and the VPs were there, and there was, they ordered food and everything, and there was a bunch of garbage, and they were like, hey, can you guys clean this up when they leave? And I'm like, man, they need to hire a company to clean this up. Like, I don't do this, man. I'm commission based. I've been commission based my whole career, 1099. So that being said, light bulb went off, which I told Rick in his podcast as well. Wow, they pay people to clean. You know, then I started researching a little bit more and realized how low the overhead was to get involved, right? And the number one thing from anyone sales driven or this competitive and this gritty, as you know, because you've done door to door, is that we want to be successful. So
Hmm.
how do we be successful? I wanted to own my own company. I didn't know what yet, but cleaning popped in, and I started like really doing my due diligence in terms of how I could start this up. Um, that being said, the company was then developed, right? I went and got the business name, I got the EIN, and then started to like really just follow people around in New York City who were doing cleaning, learning about what they were doing. I was so boggled of how someone could get a contract. You ever walk by a store or a building like, how did they get this contract? Like, who did they talk to? And that was me like 5 years ago, just trying to figure things out. And it was a process.
And I love a few things that you said there, right? The first one is you're right. It was really similar to a lot of people. I don't think you realize it's not a sexy industry, but I don't think a lot of people realize that everything needs to stay clean. Someone's doing the dirty work, right? Someone's doing the cleaning, every single building you can think of, somebody's cleaning it. So it's funny because now I drive. All I do is when I'm driving, my fiance is like trying to talk and I'm over here just looking. I'm like, that building would be nice to clean. I wonder who's cleaning that
Yes,
one.
yes,
That
man.
one's like that's all my brain sees now, which is really interesting. Because you don't realize the amount of opportunity that there is. I love that you followed people around. As creepy as that might sound, it's not creepy at all. You were there to learn. You were
Man,
there
I was a
to
big
go
time
learn
creep.
from others.
I was a big time creep. Yo, listen, Angel, you have to be obsessed with your goals, man. And that's what
You're
I
not
was.
wrong.
I was obsessed with my goals. I would not take no for an answer. You were going to teach me how to do something, whether it was windows, carpet, wiping, color coordinating rags so we don't cross contaminate, something in this industry. And by the way, man, this is a sexy industry, man. You can call it as dirty as you want to, but deep down inside, this is a gem. I love it. I know that we are I think the seventh largest industry in the world.
And it's growing.
Not only that, there's so many moving pieces in this industry, right? For people to come in and develop skills, develop a career, and then latch onto something they might have wanted to do, but didn't have the means to do it. And this is like a conduit for that, But yeah, I took my door-to-door skills and applied it to the cleaning industry, So at that point, just to go back, right? The first company I started was like a plane on fire because I had no clue what I was doing, man. But I knew how to sell. So I did end up getting like some pretty decent contracts. And I had a partner and it just didn't work out. We ended up parting ways, cutting ties. And this is for anyone in this industry who's going through something right now, because a lot of times when we first start, we say yes to anything, right? We're just so excited. Give me the contract, sure, I'll do it for $20, So, and what happens is a lot of times I try to teach people what my mentors taught me, to not walk into a situation and put yourself in a bad predicament, right? Whereas though you're cleaning for free, or you're cleaning for so low that you can't provide the service that company needs, right? And that's what I learned the first time around. I mean, I used to walk into places and the people be like, man, you are excellent. And I'm like, why is this guy always so happy, man? Like, he's good. And I realized later on, like, I was cleaning for free. I didn't know how to price anything. I was in there like the check they were sending me was going directly to employees. So ultimately, the business failed. I lost everything. I had no money. Put a lot of time and effort into it. Literally, man, and I was telling Rick this as well, like, no money, 3 kids, rent to pay, the bills don't stop, so in New York City, which is, New York's a beast. It's an animal, man. That's why they say if you can make it here, you can make it anywhere, because people are not, I don't know how people are in other states, but New York is, people are not as kind, sometimes.
New York is New York, yeah.
Yeah, New York, some places when you're down, someone might give you a hand. In New York, you're down, someone might, they might nudge you or give you a little kick, So, but it makes you tougher, it makes you stronger. And what I did at that point was strategically align myself with clients, right? And you asked me, I think we were talking about this earlier. What's my strongest point, or how you worded it was actually
your strengths,
what are my strengths? I would say sales, man, and navigating the world of sales. And that being said, strategically align myself with the right people, man. I took the resource I had, which was a car. I drove Uber, in a location where people's rent and houses were about 60 times the worth of my rent and houses. And I knew that for a fact, these were 45-minute rides and they had no choice but to listen to me for 45 minutes. I didn't care who you were. You could have been the vice president of the United States, but you were going to listen to what I had to say about Advantage Cleaning LLC,
I love that. Let me ask you, how long were you in the business when when you did it, crumbled, started doing Uber, and then you finally got you started using resources and finally got your first contract, and you're like, okay, now I bid it right, now I know what I'm doing. How long was that time frame?
So I was in, excuse me one second, that's my dog.
You're okay.
That's little Xena, man. So I was in the industry, I would say before the prior company dissolved, it was about 3 years, right? So total Advantage Cleaning has been here for about 4 years, but we've collapsed so many cycles just from education this time around, right? And it's so much better for our clients as well. When I came in this time around, it wasn't about I wanted to be successful, but there were more moving pieces. It was more about, okay, how can I develop good quality people? How could I shift some mindsets? How can I align myself with my core values and give my client exactly what they want, right? Because as you know, in our industry, there's a lot, the vendor-client relationship can fall to the wayside. And when you show up, they've been through 6 or 7 companies, and now they just think everyone is the same, right? So how do we stand out? And that's when I started giving myself a why, my why and my how. My why is economic development, right? My why is also my commitment to the client, product knowledge, reliability. Going in somewhere and making sure, if Angel, you are facilities or operations manager, that when you go on vacation, you do not have to worry about the cleaning company. Can't speak for all your other vendors, right? But I can tell you this much. We will control the situation in this facility and make sure that you don't have to worry about us.
I like it. I like it. So the reason I asked that question is just a lot of people are going through it right now, and I think a lot of people. I think you made a good point. It's really easy to get in, low overhead, right? But it does take skill, and it does take drive, and it does take messing up and mistakes to then be able to get to the right position, like the one you're at right now, right?
Yeah.
So if you're listening to this, just use Omar as an example. Like, do
Please,
not
man.
stop. Like, do not
Please.
stop. He literally got it, became an Uber driver, and was pitching his rides in a high net worth area. Like, I love that, by the way. Like, the
And
grind
just
there was
to,
amazing.
yeah, just to put the icing on the cake, right? I just want to tell everyone this first, right? It's easy to dream about what you want, but in between where you are and what you want, there's a tremendous amount of work that you have to do, right? So the dream's there, right? The next step after the dream is your vision, right? Your plan of action, and then the execution is the part that you're gonna love, man. You gotta fall in love with the process, right? Become obsessed with your goals, and that's exactly what I did. You know, the Uber was a lot of no's, a lot of no, a lot of no. I met everyone in that car. By the time I was done, at least everyone in that town knew, I wasn't an Uber driver. I owned a cleaning company, according to my pitch, right? But the one day I did meet the right person, everything aligned properly. She was amazing. She really liked me. We were in the car for 50 minutes. In fact, when I pulled up to the airport, she stayed in the car for another 15. By the time she got back from her trip, I was in a meeting with the operations manager for a major brand, and the contracts were signed.
And that lead came from Uber driving?
Yeah. And I had zero funds, right? No money coming in. Literally the $60 from the Uber ride. So this contract was the bridge back to life. This contract was the bridge back to life. And I took it and I utilized it and I pumped it up and I marketed it and I stopped doing Uber and I cleaned the account with my wife, Anna, right? And then we went from there and we were able to start hiring more employees, and then from that it turned into one employee to five. So let me tell you something, whoever's discouraged out there, don't get discouraged, man. Consistency is key. Keep your goals in front of you, right? Because there was one point when I had an employee quit on me. She was like my third employee because every week I was paying her either cash and then check because I couldn't keep up. She was like, you got to make up your mind. And I couldn't. I didn't want to tell her. I can't do it right now, because I was embarrassed. But at the time, she left. But it taught me a valuable lesson, man. There's ups and downs in this industry. I went from one employee to 5 to 10 to 25 to 50 to 70, right? There's ups and downs. But the key is with anything is enjoying your process. My process is completely different from everyone else's.
How do you identify your process? Like, because there was a point where you were probably, and it's happened to me, it's happened to all of us, right? When entrepreneurship, you're sitting there. I think my friend said it the best. He's like, as an entrepreneur, one day I'm taking over the world. I got this. And literally in 24 hours, something happens, and you're like, what am I doing? And so, what is the process? Like, how did you know? Okay, I just need to stick to the path. Because I think a lot of people, and I think we see it in, we have a community, we have our podcast, we have our event coming up. We get a lot of the questions are the same ones. And I think a lot of people get stuck. For example, what do I do? How do I get leads?
It's a good
How do I
question.
close a contract? Like, they're asking all these questions, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think there is a point where you just say, just do it. Like, just go.
That's it.
Like, well, how did you know that your process was, what, I'm just gonna Uber. This is as best as I got, and then I'm gonna just go for it, and then I'm gonna grow. Like, how do they identify their process? I guess
You could apply this to any other skill set or something that you're trying to get better at, right? When you're doing something and you want to get better at something, you seek advice from others who have done it already, and that's called mentorship, right? You're going to get people who tell you different things, but you're going to take the things you like and leave the things that are not for you, and once you have those pieces, you start building a picture with them. Education is absolute key, learning things, listening, becoming extremely humble to open yourself up for suggestion, right? So I was humble to the point where, my clients had to let me know, hey, everything looks good, man, because you asked me 10 times already, so so I wanted to know what I could do better at all times, how I can be better. If it was okay, how can we make it great? What's gonna satisfy you? Because if I knew what one large facility really liked, then I could apply it to the other one, right?
100%.
Yeah, I have mentors till this day, man. Like literally, like and just gotta humble yourself and don't be afraid to ask the questions, ask the hard questions. I used to ask all types of questions, man. When I first started, even to like my supplier, what's the difference in like certain products? What's better, because there's certain circumstances where you might order something and someone will be like, why are you ordering that when you could order this? So there's a lot of education that goes into things where people could identify what stage you are in terms of how you're ordering even.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, so it makes a lot of sense. Like for example, what I do now, like I was talking about earlier, right? And I call it DQP, developing quality people, right? Because I truly believe in the economic development of not only my city, but overall. So if I bring someone in who might be rough around the edges, but they're a so-called rock star, they know how to do everything. The only thing they're missing is what I was missing in the beginning. And now I can apply that to people, the educational piece, right? So if I know that you're a rock star, how could I boost you up, right? Okay, let's put you through 3 to 6 months of training. But within that training, by the time you're finished, you're going to be able to walk through a facility backwards. Not only that, you're going to be certified by the ISSA as a custodial technician. So when someone asks you dilution ratios, you'll be able to respond properly, right? When someone asks you how to fix the vacuum, the little things that go into detail in this job, you could run my facility without me being there, because now I'm creating me all over again, right? Because I knew the things that bothered me when I first started that I didn't know. You ever ask a question, someone tells you something and they know it and you don't, and it kind of burns? That burning feeling is your passion, and your passion to learn. And there's nothing wrong with that, man. There's nothing wrong with not knowing. Asking questions will get you where you need to go. Getting mentors will get you where you need to go. Listen to podcasts, right? Do anything you can in this industry to try to improve.
I love that you're saying, like, you almost, if you're gonna be in the space, you have to become a subject matter expert. You're right. When someone asks me something and I don't know it, oh man. And like, you're right. It's not like oh, you're better than me. It's more like, I should be the expert in this conversation. You know it more than I do. And that's not even your job title, but you've committed to it. Interesting. I questioned that commitment about myself right away, right? I'm like, okay, how come Omar knows this when it should be my expertise? Well, time to pick up my books, time to go to my podcast. Yeah. I'm going to shift what I'm reading. I'm going to ask my mentors. You're right. I love masterminds because of the same reason, because you get to learn from different people. Yeah. You said something that I don't think I've heard in a podcast before. Are you ready? And it's going to sound like the simplest thing to you. Sure. Yeah. It's probably not going to be as simple. When you hire someone, let's say you were to hire me or a cleaner, right? You're like, okay, I'm going to develop you. At what point do you decide that you're going to develop them the moment they start? Or do they have some form of graduation where you're like, okay, you've been with me for 3 months. Now I'm going to actually invest my money, resources, and time into getting you to the next level. What does that look like?
That's an excellent question. Excellent question, man. And I can answer it just like this, right? The most important piece of someone joining my team is the engagement process, right? I need to identify that you are fully engaged in not only this industry, but in my company. Once I see that, You cannot know how to sweep. You cannot know how to mop. As long as I'm capable of shifting your mindset and teaching you, and you have an open mind and you're good about learning, then you're for me. I've had people come in who are the opposite, who know everything, floors, marble, metal, and you ask them to do something or give them something to do, and it's a complete different story. It's hard to develop them because at this point, they feel like they can't learn anymore. They feel like they've learned everything, and why are you telling me what to do? When I'm the owner of the company, right? And I will still get down and clean a baseboard, man. And I will still get down and do all these other things and try to learn and improve, because it's the only thing constant is learning, is the learning process, right? Things change every day, man. There's something new happening every day. So if I could identify in an employee what I could identify in myself, it's great, right? If they align with our core values: integrity, product knowledge, reliability, commitment to client, employee leadership and growth, and engaged staff, right? As
What do you
long as
mean
I
by
can take
engagement? So like, because I'm really curious by that. I like that. Do you mean engage before you hire me? Or do you mean engage before and after you hire me? Like, can you tell if someone's not engaged during the interview process or?
Yes.
Okay.
And I try not to judge based off the interview because it could just be nerves, right?
Mm,
So we grow our employees differently. We have a 30-day, a 60-day, 90-day, and 6 months, right? So within the 30 days, trial and error. We're just learning your personality. I tell people this is a two-way street. It's not just you, it's me, right? You have to like me. You have to like working for this company. And we have to make sure you're a fit for the company, right? So it goes two ways.
100%.
You got to see if you like, there's plenty of cleaning companies in New York City, Do we fit where you want to go, right? Because you're not just doing this job to bounce around. You want to find somewhere where, number one, the retention is good, right? Where you can get promoted from within, where you're not stuck, or they're not going to fire you in 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the things I tell people up front. And then we identify certain qualities in that person, right? Time and attendance. Are you asking questions? Are you following the procedures on the onboarding correctly? If you made a mistake, how many times are you making that mistake in the beginning? So we look at those things, and it's once you, like, Angel, you've been doing this long enough, it becomes like clockwork, right? You could tell when somebody comes in, oh, this person is willing to learn, they're going to be good, and normally the gut feeling is correct. So what I do at that point is I take them through a whole process where some people hire someone and they start cleaning everything. You're going to clean a certain amount of floors, right? Maybe even two. You're going to get exhausted from cleaning those 2 floors, but you will know those 2 floors better than anyone in this facility. Once you're done with those 2 floors, you will create an inspection. After those, you will go down to the next 2. By the time we are done with training, not only will you be certified custodial technician, but you can walk through this facility backwards and let the facilities manager know where everything is, including the SDS sheets, the fire extinguishers, whatever it is, where every single wet floor sign is, the little details. And I try to take the people through a slow process rather than rushing them through things, because it's always better that way and the retention remains high.
Let me ask you something. I love what you're saying, man. Because I can tell that you develop people. I'm huge on that. I don't like when companies hire people and expect them to just do the job, and then they're like, oh, not working out, letting them go. And it's like, I always wonder what the other side is, right? Like, did you develop them? Did you also set them up to win? I love that you're setting them up to win because you're playing the long game with them. Um, Let me ask you something. Another question that always comes up is, oh man, Omar, I cannot hire. Right now, it's so hard to hire. There's no staff. There's no one that wants to work. There's no one that and then there's a few cleaners that are like, I have no clue what you're talking about
Yeah.
because they get the recommend. Is it a valid point, or is it that people don't want to work for those people?
That's invalid. And I can tell you this, if you ask me that question, I'm hoping that you're my friend, because I'm going to give you the honest answer.
Please. I
You
always tell
know,
people, do you want the nice answer or do you want the
do
truth?
you want the honest answer, man? Because it involves like getting off your and going to do something, because let me tell you something. We run a pretty we're running on a larger scale at this point, right? Yesterday, I was outside with a handful of flyers passing them out. If I don't get what's coming to me, what I need from Indeed, if I don't get what's coming from LinkedIn, if it's not what I want, I'm going to go look for it. You can never tell me that there's a shortage of employees, man. I have at least 20 people split up in 10 groups interviewing weekly, and those people come, it's just a rotation. You can go through my phone right now. We have people calling us every day. Do you have a job yet? Do you have a job yet? Because we never stop hiring. We never stop promoting our company. We now, it's gotten to the point where our employees who might not be with us, who might have left and went to another state, are telling their relatives, hey, this is a good company. Go there and ask for these people. They'll treat you good, which is the only thing I really wanted, man, because the worst thing you want to hear is someone saying, oh, I didn't like working for them, which is what I get when people come in from other companies. And then I got to ask them why, and it's usually the engagement and communication factor, man, which we provide for everyone all across the board. So if you were to ask me that question, I probably couldn't answer it the way you wanted me to answer it. Like, yeah, I'm having the same issue. No, man.
No, that's
get
the
out
right
there.
answer.
There's a, look, especially if you're in a metropolitan area, no excuses. No excuses, man. There's people coming off the train. There's people here. If you've come from my background, you know how to grab a sale. It's like either you're going to eat or you're going to starve, So,
Yep.
And that's the same mentality I implement into everything.
Well, I think you made a good point though, and I like, if what I want, I love that quote. I'm gonna write. If what I want is not coming to me, then I gotta go get it. That is such an underrated. It's so simple, such a simple advice, but somebody here, people are listening, and you see it everywhere. Oh, no one wants to work anymore. Okay, are you running ads on Indeed? Are you hunting on LinkedIn? Are you as a CEO with a crew already and a lot of accounts in New York City, stopping with flyers and catching people when they come out of the bus and in the there's a difference, right? Like I cut my teeth and I still do. Everything I do is outbound, right? Can I figure out inbound leads and marketing? Of course, I know how to do it, but I love the chase, man. I love that there's nothing and I get to pick up the phone and find something.
Yes.
There's just this weird itch that,
It's a thrill.
yeah, and I've tried my best,
No.
man. They're like, hey, cold calling is you shouldn't be doing it as somebody running the business. And then like 2 months in, I'm like, I need to cold call. Like I need to fix that itch. So I love that you do that though, because I don't know how many people have developing quality, like developing your employees program. I don't know how many CEOs are down to sit in a metropolitan area in New York, pass out flyers after a hardworking day while they're running, like putting a job ad on Indeed, while their team is running interviews. Like we have booked interviews, but it's okay. I need more.
Yeah.
I and I love how you said that. So a lot of people wait till they have no employees
To
to
start looking.
literally go hire. It's like, no, go now, go
Yeah, you
now.
should. It's everything is a process, right, Angel? Like we know that, and it has to be systematized. The process has to be automated. It has to be able to run without you.
Hmm.
So if my process is running without me, and I'm hitting the goals and the metrics that I want, I know it's a successful process.
Agreed. And I think there's also like that other side, right? As much as automated as you want to be, there's a point of like, how involved do I want to be? And you're in the time where you're like involved in the business because you want to grow it. You want to grow it. I think a lot of people want to grow things without anything else, without putting in the work sometimes. Let me ask you something, because I know we're running into the time here, and I always have a crazy final question that I ask. Before I get to that final crazy question, Omar, let me ask you, what are some shifts that you've had from when you started to now, like some beliefs that you're like, these are truths when it comes down to growing a business and commercial cleaning?
That's a great question, man. You know what? And I could say this for someone who might be struggling right now, right? When I first entered the industry, it was blind faith, right? Based off of what I know and not listening, putting my shutters on and just walking forward regardless, right? My blind faith has turned into vision and turned into like this amazing picture that I didn't understand was gonna formulate just from the blind faith, right? So everything that's coming together and taking effect, I'm like, wow, you know, listening to mentors and listening to other people, just keep at it, you know, keep going, learn more, um, consistency. And as I was going, I started to see changes in everything, my lifestyle, my employees, you know, a shift in my mindset. Because once you reach somewhere and you start believing a little bit more, now when your mindset was shifted, it's all the way like you're 360 now. You're like, I know this could happen. That check I put on the wall, that was a goal of mine, you know, to where I wanted my gross sales to be, to where I'm at now, where I looked at that check and said, you know, it's blind faith. Do I really believe that? You know, I'm going to put it there, but do I really believe it? You know, do I believe in that number? And then you hit the number, right? Now you're like, wow, this is actually happening, man. So, you know, my mindset shifted by not giving up, by having consistency, right? By believing and always keeping a mentor in front of you, always keeping someone in front of you who has what you want, right? Because there's nothing wrong with that. Whatever it is that you want to achieve, put someone in front of you who has what you want, right? The outcome is beautiful. The process will be streamlined, a little bit easier, because you'll be able to look at them when you can't see anything else, right? When nothing else is in front of you, because you can't look at yourself because you might not believe enough. You'll look at that person and say, he did it. He talks to me once a week. He talks to me once a month, and he lets me know I can do it because we're doing the same thing, you know? And that's what I would tell people, man. The mindset not only shifts, but becomes more powerful.
I love that you said that blind faith, man. That's the best kind of faith in the dark times, right? When it's like, there's some people. I don't know if your faith is high. I'm pretty sure I've seen you, but some people always say like you only believe in God when a miracle happens in front of
Okay.
you, right? Like that's a lot of people are like, well, if God, like I believe, but God, I haven't seen a miracle in a while. Can like you show me, right? And it's like, no, the best kind of faith is the one where you don't see anything, but you
Blind
know that
faith,
you're
man.
gonna be
Yeah.
taken care of. Like blind
Mhm.
faith, man. Like the way you said it, right? And I love one of my mentors always says like, and to put the icing on the cake here is you said that learn, look at who's doing it, right? You don't have to reinvent the wheel. Everybody wants to reinvent the wheel, and it's like, nope, there's a clear process. Check what your mentor did it. And then I love that you said like learn, apply it. All this building a business and selling, everything is a transformational process. It's not transactional. It's like you grow as a person, right? So my mentor always said that if you grab information, which is what you're saying, with application, you get transformation. If you
Absolutely,
get
man.
information and you don't apply the information, all that happens is it
It's
creates
useless. Yeah.
disbelief. You're just like, oh, you start doubting everything. So I love that you applied everything you learned. Now, Omar, last question here of the podcast because it's been an awesome podcast. I think a lot of people are gonna grab this podcast and they're gonna go, "Cool, I'm gonna make the sales call. Cool, I'm gonna make the visit. I'm
Yeah.
gonna go pass the flyers. I'm gonna go get my purse. Like, go after it." That's the
And
first
just
thing.
to give people a real quick formula, right? Like you said, cold calling. I would start my morning because I knew the Monday through Friday we would have office crowds and stores would be open. So that would be B2B until about noon, right? If you start learning your areas, I knew that all the operations managers everywhere were in on Wednesday. For some particular reason, every ops was there Wednesday. So Wednesday, I was pounding the pavement, right? Tuesday, Thursday, I'm cold calling 100 calls, right? Until someone picks up or someone calls me back. So it's much easier when you give yourself metrics. Write out a plan. Give yourself some sort of daily task to do and start exercising like a muscle, man. Start exercising those cold calls, exercising door to door. And your growth is gonna happen without you even knowing it.
Agreed. Agreed. I love that. I love that. Well, Omar, are you ready for the final question of the podcast, man?
Absolutely.
All right, man. Let's say that somebody hasn't listened to your podcast, but they see right there on the title Omar Miller, Advantage Cleaning. They go check you out. They're like, okay, all right, this guy's for real. I like him. But before I listen to the whole podcast, I'm just going to listen to the final question Angel always asks to see if this whole podcast is worth it. So if you could give somebody one advice, one story, one joke, one anything that will get them to remember Omar Miller, what would that one thing be?
I would say don't ever give up on yourself. I was given a second opportunity in this industry, and I had $0, right? Right now, we're at a point where things have completely turned around for myself, my staff, and my family. So stay consistent and never give up on yourself. Write your goals down, write out a business plan, and stick to it. Vision, plan of action, and execution are going to be your three best friends.
Boom. Vision, plan of action, and you execute that plan of action. Mr. Omar Miller, it's been a pleasure to have you in this podcast, man.
Thank
I'll
you.
make sure that we put your LinkedIn, everything for people to connect with you. Guys, if you got some value from this podcast, go on LinkedIn, add them, follow them, connect them, and tell them a golden nugget that you got from here, right? Tell them that you heard us here in the Profitable Cleaner. Omar, it's been a pleasure, man. I really appreciate you having here.
Oh man, it's been great to be here. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.